All right, thank you very much for tuning in. All right, so the design of evil, unmasking the architect behind the deception, broken law, and the grotesque crime. All right, so this has to be by design, right? You cannot have this much thought go into it, right? So let's say, for example, you want to complain, like I did at the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Nova Scotia, right? That complaint, like I knew it was going to be rejected, but I just had to file a complaint to be able to see how corrupt and evil and this was all done by design, right? From the acts, right? The provincial acts that regulate this oversight, this fake regulatory oversight, to the lawmakers themselves implementing these types of laws designed to ensure the continuity of the abortion industry, to the undue influence that the pharmaceutical executives have onto the country, and basically, the legal, path that one could never win, right? You could never win. But one thing is 100% sure is that, I am correct in my scientific, I'm just pointing out what is, very, very clear to be true. Um, that this is wrong, but the deception is so strong, and the domestic laws of that particular place, the provincial laws, the acts of the province, and then the lawmakers and the case law and all this stuff is so persuasive for the people that are deceptive. It has to be by design, right? What I'm trying to say is that, but what can we do? Could we reverse engineer this design and figure out the perpetrator, like that meme, the Scooby Doo meme, where he unmasks that who is the perpetrator? Let's find out who the perpetrator really is, and he will remove the mask. The kind of like the Scooby Doo meme, right? So let's get a little bit here. Let's see. So the discovery of a systemic wrong. So what we are witnessing is not an isolated error or random policy failure. It is the uncovering of a coherent, deliberate structure. Right. This is a well-oiled machine. The consistency of the harm, the patterns of deception, and the legal contradictions point to something more than negligence. They reveal design. Right. This is not by accident. This doesn't just happen overnight. Right. This is carefully crafted. The role of deception. The greatest evils often disguise themselves in the language of compassion, progress, or choice. Right? It's a good thing, right? We're doing women's rights and all that stuff. In this case, moral transgressions are cloaked in legal terminology, and violence is presented as healthcare. And don't get me wrong, right? A baby dying is extreme violence, right? This is an extreme, violent act, extremely violent act, right? That kills, right? This is the death, right, of a baby. This is deception by design, right? So this propaganda is designed by these propagandists, if you will, right? They're very, very smart in what they do. And don't get me wrong, they're extremely, intelligent. But why would you want to do that to your society? Well, because you could take over. Okay, well, I get that, right? So this is a type of, assault, like a type of bloodless, if you will. It's certainly blood being spilt, but it's they like to frame it as a bloodless military offensive where they don't have to right? They don't have to lose any of their soldiers, but then they can inflict a maximum harm upon their enemies, right? This is it's just war, which is basically warfare, and that's all it is. But this is a carefully designed piece of the war machine, right? This is incredible. This is really really what we've uncovered here. Is truly like a nightmare, a monster, like the monster of a thousand nightmares, right? Violation of fundamental moral law. Beneath every valid legal system lies a moral code. When that code, such as the principle of that killing innocent life is wrong, is systematically inverted, we are not merely dealing with poor governance, we are confronting a rupture with natural law. And what is the law? Thou shalt not kill. Right? Very, very easy to understand. Right? Reverse engineering the system. By tracing the outcomes, broken lives, discarded persons, inverted justice, we can work backwards to reveal the architecture behind the system. Like engineer analyzing wreckage, we examine effects to understand intent, right? So what is the intention behind all this stuff, right? A poison fruit does not come from a normal tree, Right, so there's somebody that had to put the poison into the roots of the tree for the poison fruit to come out of the tree, right? Right? Let me say that again. All right. So let's say, for example, you have a poison fruit. Well, the natural tree did not produce that poison fruit, right? There's somebody over there putting the poison, dripping the poison into the roots and into the ground, where near the ground where the tree is rooting, right, if you will, right? And then the poison will come up from the tree into the fruits, and then the person will eat the poison fruit, right? So the normal tree is good, right? But somebody put the system should be good, right? But somebody put the poison into the roots, and these fruits are poisonous, right? Very, very poisonous and deadly, right? Number five, inference of intentional crafting. Right. The scale and precision of this apparatus of harm suggests not accident but authorship. Someone or some institution designed this. It was built, sustained, and protected deliberately. Right. So from evil effects to evil origins, the grotesque effects we see: discarded embryos, silenced conscience, and normalized harm, allows us to infer that there is not just a failure of good, but an active design of evil. There is an architect behind this moral catastrophe, right? A call to moral clarity and courage. Understanding this architecture obligates us to resist not only the individual acts of harm, but the entire system that sanctions them. Evil can be systemic, and when it is, it must be confronted with clarity, truth, and unflinching moral conviction. Right? But that is the system, and that is what we have to, that's what we have to live with. We have to live with the fact that, are we going to, comply? Are we going to say, yeah, that's fine and dandy, and I'm just going to go ahead and pay my property taxes and all the stuff, which will go, you are literally using the same dollar from you are being penalized. You have a penalty. You're being penalized for having a house. Right, and let's say, for example, in Metagan area, right, in Sonyville or Church Point area, right, you have a house there, you have to pay the money, and that dollar will go directly to people like Dr. Michel Dow, right? They will literally have that dollar transferred. They will transfer that money from you, right, the homeowner that has a job, right? You have a job, right? Let's say, for example, you're fishing or logging or something like that, right? You're risking your life on the water, right? And then your hard-earned dollars, right? There's absolutely no risk at all for the government, right? The municipal government, right? Stefan Seer doesn't have any kind of risk. He has a very nice office there. He's very comfortable in his office. He doesn't have to go on the ocean, in November, at the end of the November, and he doesn't have to go fishing, right? He just stays in his office, right? He's comfortable, right? And he doesn't have any risk, right? We seen a young man just a few months ago, right, dying of a scuba diving accident, right? He died, right? So the risk is 100% there for us. But no, these Stefan Sierra and all these guys, they just have a very comfortable time, and they will transfer the money to the to people like Dr. Michel Dow, right? And they will go ahead and kill children, right? Kill children. How perverse is that, right? And that's I think everybody, can see there's something wrong, but well, what can you do? You can't do anything, and that is true. So why can't you do anything? Because it's by design. This is a systemic evil by design. It's designed so that nobody can do anything outside of it. A, you know what, right? So, and I'm not going to suggest that. It's not like we're going to get together and organize and actually do something about it, are we? Oh, probably not. There's only one way to fix this. But actually, the good thing about this, if there is any, there is coming a day where this will stop, right? There is coming a day where this will stop. So maybe it's in another generation. Maybe it's after 100 years or after 200 years in the future. But this will stop. This will certainly stop. It's not sustainable, right? This is certainly not sustainable. Um, and there's like in the meme of the Scooby Doo, right? The Scooby Doo meme where the guy removes the hoodie. Let me get that meme here for you. Theoretical, theoretical physicist, a mathematician. Anyway, this is the meme. I could say, who's this guy? Then I could say, this guy. This is the meme I was talking about. But we know who this guy is. And if you don't know, well, you try to find out. That's not my job to tell you because you should already know that. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'll see you.